stopping by. I am really happy that you're here. Anybody that's new, all you that are just kind of passing through and not sure, if you decide to hang out with us here on the Stitch Roadie channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you click the bell next to the subscribe button, it lets you know when I upload a video. That's great for you because I am not one of those floss tubers that has a schedule. I barely can keep my own life in check, so I do not add that additional stress of knowing that, oh, I have to do one every week on a Tuesday or every 2 weeks or whatever works for a lot of people. I'm a hit and miss kind of person, so the bell's really important. Also, I was surprised on the last giveaway that I did that now Google has added this feature, which I had never seen before, that shows who has subscribed and who hasn't, that comments on the channel. And I was surprised a fair amount of people that are regular commenters and Stitch Roadie friends are not actually subscribed. And that's important for the giveaways that we do on this channel. So please, it doesn't cost you a penny. It's just a way that Google lets me know that I earned a penny. And so it's easy enough to do and to help out the channel. Thank you, thank you. Well, that brings me to one of the last giveaways. Now, we here gave away a whole pack from Fat Quarter Shop of project bags, needle minder, thread, and floss drops. And those were sent out to the winner who contacted me. But surprisingly, a lot of times, maybe it's because people want to enter a giveaway and then their life, something gets in the way and they don't come back to the next video or whatever happens. I don't know. But the winner of the Fat Quarter gift certificate never contacted me, and my life is chaotic enough without having to chase down the winner, and I don't know what's going on in their lives. You know, maybe maybe their life went chaotic, and the gift certificate is the least amount, or the floss tube channels are the least amount on their list of checking in. But I never did get contacted by the person who won the gift certificate, and so I just redrew it. And when I redrew it, let's hope this person contacts me. Heidi Linning, you won the $35 gift card from Fat Quarter Shop. So please, I'll put my link of my email in the drop-down box. Email me and let me know your mailing, your email address, because the Fat Quarter Shop will send you a reimbursement or a certificate. Boy, I'm having trouble with my words today. An order number where you can choose whatever you want. But this was in honor of the free pattern they started on August 1st, which was the Bats and Booze. So if you want to join that free stitch along, all you have to do is go onto the Fat Quarter Shop and download the pattern, and you're set to go. So that brings me to, oh, let me just explain. This channel is not going to go in order. I'm trying to get a little more organized, but I don't know. Organization has never been my strong suit. So we're all over the place. So back to Bats and Booze. Doesn't that sound like booze, like bats and booze? Yeah. This is an adorable stitch, and I you know, I kind of love linen, and so when they contact me with what products I want to use on a stitch along, I tend to choose linen, and I have to say I didn't like the linen that I got. Not the linen itself so much as the color of the linen. I had a really hard time seeing it, so I switched it out to Ada, and I am loving how it is turning out. So there's my beginning corner there. I love the lacy look of that, and I love that it shows up on this fabric. And I had my little floss drops with my little ghosty, and there's my needle minder. So there's all kinds of fun things on the Fat Quarter Shop. So Heidi, please contact me, because there's a $35 gift card waiting for you to cash in. And you actually can cash it in on anything that you want. I know I said I'm not organized, but I am trying my hardest. And one of the things, just to give a little bit of life update, one of the things that I've been trying to do is, you know, when you move as much as we've moved around the last 6 months, you end up with little piles of stuff everywhere, and organizing, I mean, just reams of paperwork we have to organize, and it's just, I mean, I know that I got my beehive fairly organized right away, although there's things that I still can't find. But there's like little piles and bags and boxes. I pretty much unpacked all the big boxes, but there's like just little things. So this last week I got on a whirling dervish and decided to go through some of those bags. Like, there were little bags stacked in my closet, and I ended up with making piles to donate again, and then piles to shred, piles to throw away, and I still have not found my floss. And for those who are newer to the channel, back in the fall of 2020, was going to start, and ultimately did start, the Long Dog Pandemic stitch that they gave a free pattern for a while. It's 23 pages of pattern. But I ordered like 26, either 24 or 26 skeins of some kind of fancy floss, because I was doing it all in one color, and I couldn't find it. I mean, it got packed in the first big move. I think it got packed. I can't imagine I would throw it away. It makes me ill every time I think about that. But I've yet to find it. So I ultimately started the Long Dog Pandemic in an entirely different floss. I haven't found that floss yet, just so you know, if you're new to the channel, I still haven't found it. And so when you see in the comments that someone's asked, have you found your floss? That's what they're talking about. But I feel like I'm getting close. I don't know. I think it's going to be in some weird place, like my mind thought, oh, this'll keep it safe, and I like packed it with a can of beans, a flat of beans or something. But that reminds me of a story. When we were moving from California to Oregon, it was over 30 some years ago, and I lived in a predominantly, I worked at a hospital where I think about 80%, maybe not quite that much, but I always say like 80% of the population for that hospital was Hispanic, and so I was very much involved in the Hispanic community. I learned to deliver a baby speaking the native language. So when we were moving to the middle of nowhere, Oregon, where we moved to at that time had a population of either 600 or 900 people. It was very small. I was so freaked out that I bought a whole flat of refried beans because I was convinced I was not going to be able to find refried beans. G still laughs at me when he thinks of that story because naturally, you know, there was like a grocery store that carried refried beans, but somehow that was my safety, my feel good about leaving my family and leaving the environment and culture I understood. So yeah, every time I buy a can of refried beans, G always says, "Oh, remember." Yeah, see in my shirt, G, the man, the myth, the legend. This was a gift to him, and he won't wear it, so I wear it. Of course, some people ask me, "Who's G?" Yeah, he's an important person in my life. Okay, see, I'm already disorganized because I can't remember what I was going to do. Okay, I wrote some notes. So I took care of letting Heidi know that she won the gift card. Oh, my favorite thing this week. I always like to hear what the favorite thing is. Like, I think Michelle Bendy does my favorite thing. And I'm always paying attention to that because it might be my favorite thing. Yeah. This was last week's favorite thing, you know, this orange vanilla polar seltzer. But this thing, what happened to it? Oh my gosh, I have since dropped it. Let's see, did it drop there? No. Where is my favorite thing? Oh, here it is. I was sitting on it. So my favorite thing, I know you can make these. When I feel the inside of it, it feels like it's just solid lavender, dried lavender. But at the New Seasons grocery store, which is the closest grocery store to me, carries these. And it's a little mini pillow. And it's filled with lavender. It's kind of like a very soft cotton fabric, but it's very soft. And I fall asleep with this over my eyes. Now, there's two reasons. I have a busy mind, and so when I first lay down, I have to interrupt all that busyness. And for some reason, when I lay down, and it's kind of a little bit like a weighted pillow. So if you have ever heard of weighted blankets and how they're calming, they use them with children. They use them in, I think they use them in different settings. This has that same effect to me. So it's not real heavy. It's just filled with lavender, and I put it over my eyes and I fall asleep. The smell of the lavender, for those of you that like that smell, is very calming. And the weight of it just kind of, I've triggered my brain to fall asleep when I do this. Now, it comes off, it falls off when I roll over and stuff like that, but for that to fall asleep, and sometimes if I wake up in the middle of the night for some reason, I'll look for it and I'll put it back on and then I'll fall back asleep. So that's this week's favorite thing. It's been challenging this week because we have an ongoing challenge with our new home. We weren't given all the information on it, but we knew that this house was 20 years old and that there were things that were going to happen, but we thought that the building inspector, the building inspector that inspected our home that we sold, boy, you talk about a list a mile long that we had to fix. The building inspector here was not like the building inspector there. That's all I can say. So we knew right away that we were going to have some humps along the way. And this week it was that our air conditioner and furnace kaput. Of course, it's going to be 90 all week. So that has been challenging. We haven't been sleeping as well. Luckily for us, we absolutely love our home. And the reasons we bought it are still the reasons we will not leave until we have to go to like a one-room place with a studio apartment or something like that. But this house is situated at the top of a knob or a hill. So much so that when I drive to the grocery stores, my ears pop. But however it is situated, we get a nice, if there's any kind of breeze, it's a nice breeze across the house. So if we open the windows, we can get a decent breeze going. Of course, a couple times this week there's been zero breeze, and so it's been hard to sleep, and I'm babbling. But yeah, so you know how that goes. To get parts, or we actually have to replace the entire furnace. When we pulled out the filters from that furnace, and I was told that everything was inspected, but when we pulled out those filters had lived in there for who knows how long. I'd never seen filters that filthy. So we have that going on this week. But you know, I can't get worked up about everything. If there's one thing I love about, if there's anything to love about the pandemic, it is for myself the acknowledgement of how blessed my life is and how much patience it has taught me. I mean, I was I'm a go pedal to the metal kind of person, and this last year has taught me to take a breath. I think that has been actually a positive health benefit for me, because I very rarely now throw a tantrum, much to G's pleasure. Yeah. You don't catch me on the floor kicking my feet and flailing my arms very often anymore. So that has been one of the things that I have been very thankful for, is that I've been able to learn some patience, which brings me to the most exciting thing. I have been wanting to get a cabinet to house all of my cross stitch in that also has a glass display area on top, and I found the perfect one. I mean, I looked at antique ones, I looked in shops, I looked at every furniture store I went in. I looked for something that in my mind had drawers and a glass cabinet at the top, and there wasn't anything that I could find. And online, sure, I could get one for $3,000. I looked on Wayfair and Overstock, and I'm like, I don't think so. But I found the actual perfect cabinet for my cross stitch from IKEA. The problem was, is that it was trapped on the Ever Given in the Suez Canal. And so, you know, for months now, not one was available. And then this morning, I finally, you know, because they released that ship, took it out of impoundment, all of that. So IKEA is starting to get their stuff back. And so it's going to be delivered. Of course, we have to put it together, but it's going to be delivered this next week. I might get my cross-stitch organized. I can't even venture to think how many duplicate things I might have. Yeah. But I'm excited about that. Yes. So since we last talked, since we last talked, I had a wonderful meetup. My girlfriend, Pocket Robin, I call her Pocket Robin, we all call her Pocket Robin, it came to visit overnight. She just came for one night, but it was the perfect 24 hours. We got, you know, she slept here in the beehive because, of course, I don't have my guest bed yet, has to be delivered. I might call them today. But, yeah, she slept here in the beehive on the floor. So I could get up early in the morning and come across the hall and we could stitch until G brought us coffee. It was awesome. But we went for a trip to Acorns and Threads and it was awesome. We met up with a bunch of other Flosstubers and did some shopping. And then we went to lunch. It was all organized by Lady RobynS. Excuse me, Lady RobynS up from Washington. So a bunch of gals from Washington came down. It's so fun that they are willing to make that trip. Of course, Cheryl, you know, one half of the Stitching with the Sisterlies, she and I can barely find our way across town to Acorns and Threads, and here people are coming down from Washington. But it was awesome. So we got to meet up with Lady RobynS and SamBrie Stitches and Stitchy Witch 42 and who else was there? Oh, Punky Pearl and Crossed by Floss. And I shopped. I shopped again. I mean, well, I have to admit, though, this was something that I pre-ordered, or I didn't pre-order. I saw it on Instagram. You know, I probably saw it on Brenda and the Cereal Starter. I don't know where I saw it, but they're doing that whole Blackbird design thing, and I saw this chart. Isn't that awesome? And I thought, oh, I need to get that. So I called up ahead of time before going and said, do you have a way we ride? And both Audrey and I from Stitchy Witch love the house. It's not like your standard house you see on most cross stitch. This is definitely a witch's house. Irregularly shaped windows, irregularly shaped walls, crows hanging around it. They only had one copy available at that moment, so she put it in a bag for me. But if you want one, she is ordering more, and she could put your name on it. So the best thing about, I mean, there's so many wonderful things about Janine, the owner of Acorns and Threads. But the best thing for me personally, and you know, after all, it is about me, is that she knows my limitations. And anyone, but I can ask her, like in this particular chart, it took a certain kind of fabric and count, but they didn't have it. They could order it, but fabric is one of those things that you order it, it could take months to get there to any shop. But she keeps an updated order of fabric of different brands. And I said, well, if I can't have that, is there another one that will work? And she's so good about picking out, giving you options for different fabrics. And so what I have chosen, and you will have to see because I picked up the thread also. Here's some of the thread. Is that she gave me the option. She says, what do you think about this one? And it is a Jobelin 28 count sage. And you just have to see how awesome that's going to look. And I might actually do a little tea or coffee dyeing on this just to give it a little bit of splotchiness, you know, but I love it. So I picked up the called for threads, I got the fabric, and I have the chart. I don't know when I'm going to start it because there's so many things I want to start. So many things I want to start. But then the other thing that I had pre-ordered is because I was almost done with the stocking, attaching the gewgaws things onto the stocking for Parker, the Parker stocking from Shepherd's Bush for my grandson, who's not named Parker. I thought I better get ready to start stitching his younger brother's stocking, which I don't know if I'll get it done this year, but I like to have everything ready just in case I suddenly have this incredible burst of energy. And so I ordered the charm pack that went with his younger brother's stocking, which is called Richard, although he's not named Richard. Yeah. Did you understand all that? Since Acorns had gotten in a shipment of fabric, I could not pass this up. I don't know what I'll use it for, but I love it. It's Belfast linen, 32 count, vintage smoky white. And look at that. It's just got a little nice modeling to it. Yeah, so, you know, I had a great time. We had lunch next door at McMiniman's, and the highlight of the lunch was meeting Sam, who was Becca's daughter. Talk about a lovely, lovely young woman. She's just a sweetheart, and she is also picked up stitching. She's all, but at that age where, you know, she's gonna be flying the coop, and Becca's gonna be sad about it. But I also was sad when the boys moved out. But the one thing I always remember is when they move on with their lives, you wish them the best, and you hope you gave them all the tools that they needed, and you're there. You're there if they need you. So she was just a lovely, lovely young woman. Lovely young woman. Okay, so I've been talking. The other item that I wanted to start sharing with you was about blogs. Now, I know that on the weekly interview with the Flosstuber that Becca does, she always asks, do you have a blog? And I would say probably 98% of the people she interviews do not have a blog. Blog may have been considered old school, but it's still out there, and I very much love it. My blog has not been as consistent as I normally am, but I still love it. It's another platform to express yourself, and express yourself in maybe a different way, because you're writing. You're actually writing, and that to me utilizes a different part of my brain, and I enjoy it. So I still have a blog, and I will put the link down below, and you can subscribe to it by going on the left hand side where it says followers. You click the follow button and you can become a follower of that blog, and then it'll give you the option to be informed when a new blog post goes up. And then on the right hand side of my blog, I have a list of blogs that I like to read, and so I link them there, and if you click on any one of those, it'll take you to their blog. And I love that. But I stumbled upon a new blog, not a new blog, but a blog that I put on my roll, and I wanted to share it with you. So when you go to my blog, go to that right hand side and click on a positive outlook. It's an awesome blog. The writer of that blog is both a quilter and a cross stitcher, and a really positive person. And it is something you might want to take a look at and enjoy. It's like instead of reading the news, read a positive blog. Yeah, so I'll link my blog, and then you can go to her blog and many others. So what have I been cross stitching this week? Look at that. I did my notes. I did my notes. That's just, I wrote notes. That's the amazing thing. I wrote notes. I've already told you about the Stitch Along with Fat Quarter shop. Heidi, call me about your gift card. Otherwise, I'm going to spend it. So what have I been up to? I have a fully finished. I have a finish that became a fully finished, and I want to just tell you how I did it. So it's a Plum Street stackables. You know, I want a whole bowl of those charts that she does, Paulette does, that have the animals stacked, and they have a cute name for those. And I'm approaching that the same way I'm approaching my Prairie School Santa. What I have to say is that I had in my mind, as I usually do, that I can accomplish something in a time frame that is not possible for me, and that was I was going to do a Prairie Schooler every month. Those little charts are not a slam dunk. There's a lot of stitching on them, and so I've adjusted that to, once I finish a Prairie Schooler, I start a Prairie Schooler, not necessarily one a month. So you see how I just tweaked that a little bit? You see how I made that excuse for myself? I'm so smart. So on the Prairie Schooler, I'm currently working on, this is 2017 Santa. It's that awesome one with the polar bear. I mean, it's just awesome. And this is how far I've gotten. And it's my morning coffee stitch. So I may be spending, well, you know, when I get up in the morning, I go downstairs to the living room. It has the best light. I have my little lamp, which is a halo lamp. I got it off of Amazon. And I talk to G. You know, he's usually checking in on the news, although lately he's been on car sites looking at cars. So I mainly get maybe about 15 minutes of stitching. You know, so I'm making progress, but it's not like I'm, you know, because I don't pick it up any other time of the day. But I decided, getting back to Plum Street and Paulette, I've decided on her patterns of the stacking animals that anytime I finished one, I would start a new one. There's no time frame to those. I've decided time is not my friend, and that's why I'm kind of lousy at stitch-alongs, especially if you do it with someone who's a fast stitcher. If you want to do a stitch-along, contact me. You have to be the slowest stitcher in the world for me to agree. Yeah. But I decided once I did finished one of her stackables, I would start a new stackable. And so I finished, and I fully finished. I'm going to tell you how I finished it, because I want to do a bowl where all the stackable animals are in the same bowl. So this one was Fox Few. And if you've ever been to my Quilt Roadies channel and looked at any of the How I Do It segments, you will know that I try to figure out how to do it the easiest way. So when I finished this, I was going to try something new. First of all, it was choosing the little fringe. And this was a Lady Dot Creates blue, because I really liked the blue that came out in this little pillow. So I took my piece, my finished piece, I backed it with Pellon SF101, cut to the same size, fused it. It's a fusible on one side. I picked out a fabric from my fabric stash. I fused the Pellon on the back of that piece so that it was just as sturdy as the front. And then I picked out my trim and I ironed the trim. There's a kind of a ribbon part to the balls. I wonder if someone stumbles on this channel and wonders, what the heck is she talking about? Fringe with balls. But I ironed it so that the part that's holding the balls was nice and flat. And then I laid my stitched piece and my fabric piece right sides together, and I laid the fringe inside of those two layers so that I could sew all three together. I said, there's got to be a quicker way than hand stitching this trim on. How am I gonna, I should be able to do this and do it quick. So I slit the back of the piece so I could turn it inside out that way. And I literally sewed the trim on at the same time I sewed the front and back together. It was awesome. I mean, it took me hardly any time at all. And then I turned it inside out. I stuffed it with polyfill, and I used the chopstick that comes in the polyfill to kind of get it all in the corner. And then once it was all done, I decided to use some of my label fabric. You know, it's a pre-printed fabric with a label pattern on it. And I used soft fuse on the back of that label. I wrote the pattern name and my name and the year I did it, and I fused it over the whole so that the back looks like that. And then I think I'm going to buttonhole stitch around this by hand. And it's done. Fully finished. I tell you, when I figure out a quick way to do something and it works, I mean, yeah, you risk failure, but that has never kept me from doing anything. Failure is just a step for me. It's just a step in a new direction. So failure has never stopped me from anything. And you know, just so you know, I got this, I can't remember if I got this at Acorns and Threads or if I actually ordered it from Lady.Creates, but I'll put both links. So one pack of this was $6. Half of that trim fit on this pillow, so the trim investment was $3 a pillow. And I did this on 40 count, so that's why it's kind of tight. I love that. I'm going to do them all on 40 count. I did start because of the Blackbird, that Brenda and the cereal stitcher. Yeah, that's a channel that gets me into trouble. But I immediately pulled out because I knew that I had it kitted somewhere. And so I started the Blessing Be Thine. And it is located in the Home for the Holidays booklet. I believe Acorns and Threads has that. And I got a nice start. And I'm just going to keep working away at that. So this is on Belfast Linen, 32 count willow green. And I got this piece from Acorns and Threads. And what I love about when you buy fabric from Acorns and Threads is they'll serge the edge for you. I love that. I love that. Because otherwise I'm using glue basted. So I had that as a start. I don't know if I'd showed that before. Okay. And since I was making progress on these little projects, you know, like I got Leo done last month, and I got the Fox View done in July, I decided to kind of take a look at some old whips, and the one I picked out to focus on, and by focus, I don't mean that's the only thing I'm stitching on. It's that I am going to focus on getting a component done. Focus. Yeah. It was the Country Cottage Needleworks Snowy Frosty Forest. So I bought all 9 of those little charts, but I'm doing them all in one, on one piece. And it's an old whip. So this is the one I am currently working on. And by old whip, I mean, I don't know when I started it. I have no idea when I started it. But it was all kitted up. And so I finished the first 2. And so then I am working on this number 3. And once I get that third one done, then I'm going to set it aside and pick up something else. And this is on Cottonscapes Lugana 28 count Haven. Yeah, it's a sweet stitch. So I've been enjoying that, but like the Prairie Schooler Santas, it is not a slam dunk. Just because it's a little chart, the snow alone takes you forever to do. The last thing, I think, oh my gosh, we're at the last thing, is I had a couple questions about a needle minder I had. It was stuck on my lamp, the Brytech LED floor lamp on Amazon, for anybody who wants to know. I don't know if they still carry it because I've had it a while, but you can Google and try to find it. Was this. I love this little puffin. And this was designed and sold I bought it at Acorns and Threads, but it is the Frozen Crafter, Megan, who I just adore. I watch her Flosstube. It's kind of like being in a friend's room and talking about her life. I met her at Fall Fling in 2019, I believe, yes. And she now lives in Washington State. She just came down from Alaska, and Janine carries these. The thing that I like about needle minders is I have all assortment of needle minders. Some needle minders, if you stitch in hand, you just can't use them. They're too heavy. They cause drag and dealing with it. So you want a lightweight one when you're stitching in hand. And this is very lightweight. The heavier ones, the designs are beautiful, and I've made some that are heavy, but you really can only use those if I have something in a frame. So that's what I have noticed about. If you wanted to know about my opinion about needle minders, you need them, but they don't work on every single project. One needle minder doesn't necessarily translate to every project. Well, there you go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure you check if you're a subscriber, if you want a notification. Heidi, send me your email address. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. And thanks so much for stopping by.